It started with a cartoon. A simple one. Bright colors, funny sounds, a smiling character with big white eyes and striped pajamas. Nothing scary. Nothing unusual. Or so they thought. Until 2 a.m., when Junior's mother heard something scratching the hallway walls. She tiptoed out of her room, barefoot, her heart beating fast. The corridor lights flickered. The entire mansion was silent, too silent. Then she heard it. "Come fly with me, come fly with me." It was a voice. A child's voice. Coming from the TV. The remote was on the couch. The entire room was dark, except for the glow coming from the television screen. And the shadow of her son floating in the air with his eyes wide open, smiling at the cartoon that no one turned on. She screamed. But nothing came out. Her feet couldn't move. Her mouth couldn't close. Her knees collapsed as she watched her son whisper words he never learned and rise higher, and higher. That was the night they realized, this wasn't just a cartoon. It was a curse.
Hey beautiful people! Are you ready for this beautiful story? Welcome to African Tales by Imade. Please like, share, subscribe and drop your comments in the comment section. Let the story begin.
From the day Junior was born, something was different about him. He didn't cry much. He didn't fuss like most newborns. In fact, the nurses used to say, "This baby is a gentle spirit. Too calm." His mother, Amaka, a tall, confident woman with perfect nails and a planner always in hand, took it as a blessing. Her husband, Chief Okonkwo, a well-known businessman in Lekki Phase 1, agreed. They had waited 7 years for a child. And when Junior finally came, they were determined to give him everything they never had growing up. And they did. A fully decorated nursery with climate control, imported baby monitors, white noise machines, toys from Amazon, and a smart screen mounted directly in his crib space, for early learning, they said. It started with nursery rhymes, then Baby Shark, then Cocomelon. But no one noticed how he wouldn't blink when the screen was on, or how he would scream like something was stabbing him, the moment the screen went off. So they left it on, for hours, then for days, then, forever. By the time Junior turned 2, he could swipe through YouTube faster than the housemaid could wash his bottle. He had no interest in people. Just colors, voices, and flashing lights. At first, Amaka and Chief thought it was intelligence. "He's gifted," Amaka smiled to her friends at brunch. "At 2 years, he can already unlock my iPad. Genius boy." But there was something no one else saw. He had no interest in human interaction. He barely looked at his parents. He didn't want hugs. Didn't play with other kids. Only cartoons. Always cartoons. He would giggle alone in the corner, sometimes nodding at the screen like it was talking to him. They called it independence. But what it was isolation. As Junior grew, so did his attachment to his screen. By 4, he had his own tablet, a smart TV in his room, a Bluetooth headset, and voice access to every cartoon network in the world. And his parents, even busier. Chief Okonkwo had just launched 2 new warehouses. Amaka had taken a remote role with a US tech company. They were always in meetings, calls, conferences, Zooms. Every time Junior came close, Amaka would gently tap his head and say, "Go and watch cartoon, baby. Mummy is working." He obeyed, always. He would sit in the living room, alone, for hours. Sometimes curled up in his blanket, headphones on, giggling softly at what the characters said. Sometimes laughing too hard, and no one was around to ask why. Sometimes staring too long, like he wasn't watching anymore, but listening. Deeply. One Friday evening, the housemaid, Nkechi, came to take the tablet from him so he could eat. Junior didn't even blink. She tapped him. Still no response. She pulled the headphones off, and he shrieked. Like something inside him had been unplugged. Nkechi froze. Junior's eyes turned glassy. He was breathing fast. His hands were trembling. But within seconds, he smiled again. Like nothing happened. "Give it back," he whispered. That night, Nkechi told Amaka what happened. But Amaka waved it off. "He's just obsessed. It's better than running around destroying the house." Junior's room became a different world. Dark curtains, smart bulbs that changed colors, a remote-controlled bed, and his beloved 70-inch screen. No one entered except to clean. Even when guests came, Junior stayed in his room, watching, always watching. One day, a guest, Amaka's childhood friend, Ify, came visiting with her son, David. David was Junior's age, curious, talkative, lively. He went to Junior's room to play. Within 10 minutes, he came out, pale and shaky. "Auntie, I don't want to stay with him. He talks to the cartoon like it's real." Everyone laughed. But that night, Junior stayed up past 1 a.m. The cartoon on screen was not his usual one. There was no theme song. Just static. And then a voice. "You're ready now, Junior. Ready to see more?" Junior nodded. "I'm ready." On school days, Junior never took gadgets to school. His parents didn't allow it. Their school, Greenstone Academy, was strict. No screens. No tablets. No smartwatches. But even without a screen in his hand, Junior stood out. And not in the usual, "he's so clever," kind of way. He never smiled. Never played during break. Never joined group activities. He just sat. Watching. Every morning, as the other children ran to their friends, Junior would quietly walk to his desk, place his bag neatly beside his chair, and draw. Always drawing. Always the same thing. Large eyes, wide smiles. Striped pajamas. One Thursday morning, his class teacher, Miss Dammy, gave the children an assignment. Draw your best friend. Some drew their siblings. Others drew classmates. But Junior drew a tall, cartoonish figure with fingers so long they wrapped around a tree. At the top of the page, he wrote in shaky red crayon. "Bobo, he watches me when I sleep." Miss Dammy frowned. "Junior, who is Bobo?" He looked up slowly and said, "My cartoon friend. He comes out of the screen at night." She laughed nervously. Kids and their imaginations. Still, she called Auntie Rose after school to share her concerns. Auntie Rose listened. Tight-lipped. Her heart had already been whispering warnings. That evening, she gently tried to take Junior's tablet during dinner time. He clutched it with both hands. "No. Junior, eat first." "No." She pulled it. He screamed. So loud the lights flickered. The TV in the living room glitched. The tablet slipped from her hand and hit the floor. Junior went silent. And stared at her. No tears. No shouting. Just a cold stare, like she had touched something sacred. Then he whispered. "You'll regret that." The next morning, Auntie Rose stood by the kitchen window, staring out at the gardener. She had goosebumps all night. Junior didn't sleep. She heard footsteps in the corridor at midnight, tiny feet walking back and forth. But she was too scared to check. When she finally gathered courage to look into his room, he was already on his bed, eyes closed. But his TV was glowing white, no sound. Later that day, Amaka returned from a 3-day trip. High heels, red lipstick, designer tote in hand. Auntie Rose approached her with fear in her voice. "Madam, please. That boy, something no day normal again. E-day talk to E-screen. E-day float for bed." Amaka rolled her eyes. "Rose, how many times will I tell you, children these days are different. He's gifted. Madam, a beg. I don raise Pekin before. This one na spiritual." That was the wrong thing to say. Amaka dropped her bag, walked forward, and slapped Rose across the cheek. "Don't you ever talk about my son like that again. Are you mad? If he's smarter than your village children, does that mean he's possessed?" Rose stood there, tears welling in her eyes. She had only tried to help. "Madam, make you watch. Make you look well. Go too late one day." Amaka stormed off. Junior, standing upstairs behind the railing, had watched everything, without blinking. That night, he handed Rose a note, folded into a paper plane. It simply said, "Next time you touch my things, you won't wake up." On Sunday morning, the Okonkwo family stepped into Covenant Light Church, their usual high-class place of worship in Lekki. Everyone smiled at them. Chief in Igbada. Amaka in fitted Ankara. Junior in a tiny white suit, holding his mother's bag like a perfect gentleman. They sat on the second row, directly in front of the pulpit. The worship was intense. People lifted their hands. Some cried. Some fell under the anointing. Junior sat still. Not blinking. Hands folded. Eyes fixed on the screen above the pulpit. Then something strange happened. As the pastor began to speak in tongues, Junior leaned toward his mother and whispered, "He's not really talking to God. He's pretending." Amaka froze. "What did you say?" "There's a man behind the wall. He tells him what to say. Bobo told me." Amaka looked at him, confused, embarrassed, unsure whether to rebuke or ignore him. But Junior smiled. Just like Bobo. Wide, silent, glassy. Later that week, the family stopped by ShopRite to pick up a few groceries. In the snack aisle, Junior stopped suddenly. He stared at a random woman standing 2 shelves away. She had a baby in her arms. Junior walked slowly toward her. Stared directly into the baby's eyes. Then whispered, "She's not your baby. You took her." "I saw it." The woman turned sharply. "What did you just say?" Chief Okonkwo ran over. "Sorry Ma. He's just playing. Kids and their jokes." "Your child is sick," she barked, clutching her child and backing away. Junior turned back to his father and said, "She took her from the yellow house with the chickens." The baby was crying. That night, Amaka told her husband, "We may need to check this boy. Something is off." But Chief replied, "You said it yourself. He's gifted. Just let him be." Junior was turning 8. And Amaka wanted the celebration to be grand. "I want something small," she told her planner. "Just close friends, family, maybe 60 people." The garden of their mansion was transformed into a mini theme park. Balloons, cartoon mascots, cotton candy stands. A cake taller than Junior himself. There was even a magician, Professor Puzzles, to entertain the kids. By 2 p.m., guests filled the compound. Children in bright clothes ran across the lawn. Laughter filled the air. Music played softly from invisible speakers in the hedges. But Junior wasn't smiling. He stood by the fountain, dressed in his white and red birthday suit, just watching. Not the kids. Not the magician. Not the balloons. The sky. When it was time for the magic show, everyone gathered under the tent. Professor Puzzles brought out a box of colorful scarves and fake rabbits. "Now watch closely," he said. "This hat is empty." He showed them. Empty. Then turned to Junior. "You. Birthday boy. Come here." Junior walked up slowly, hands by his side. Expressionless. "Say the magic words with me," the magician said. "Bobo doesn't like magic," Junior said softly. The crowd laughed awkwardly. Professor Puzzles chuckled. "Okay then, how about Hocus Pocus?" Junior turned to the audience. Then back to the magician. He said, "Don't open that hat." Professor Puzzles opened the hat anyway. A huge gust of wind suddenly blew through the tent, sending balloons flying and knocking over a tray of drinks. Kids screamed. The rabbit inside the hat bit the magician's hand, drawing blood. He screamed. The audience gasped. The music stopped. Chairs scattered. People murmured. Junior, he walked back to his seat, calm, expressionless, licking cotton candy like nothing happened. Later that night, Amaka uploaded pictures from the party with the caption, Happy birthday to the most intelligent, most gifted child I know. Junior, you are everything I ever prayed for. Mommy loves you forever. 2 weeks later, Junior's school introduced a new substitute teacher, Mr. Gideon, a tall, cheerful young man fresh from youth service. He loved kids. He was good with stories, and he connected instantly with the entire class. Except Junior. Junior didn't laugh at jokes, didn't look him in the eye, didn't respond when called. But what really disturbed Mr. Gideon was what Junior did during lessons. He would write in his notebook, things that weren't part of the lesson. One afternoon, the teacher walked past his desk and noticed a page filled with symbols. Weird, spiral drawings, faces with no mouths, and a line that read, "When the moon turns red, they will all fly with me." Mr. Gideon froze. He flipped to the next page. It was a drawing of himself, sleeping on the floor, covered in fire ants. He called Junior. "Where did you learn this?" Junior looked up slowly and said, "Bobo said you're a spy. You shouldn't be here, Mr." Gideon closed the book and asked to speak with the school principal. He requested an emergency transfer. That same night, he texted Miss Dammy, the other teacher. "There's something wrong with that child. Please, be careful." A week later, something very strange happened in the Okonkwo home. It started like every other evening. Amaka on her laptop, seated in the study, video conferencing with a vendor from China. Chief Okonkwo in the living room, watching international football on his flat-screen TV. Junior was in his room. With his tablet, and his TV, and his headset. The house was silent, except for soft humming from Junior's room. At exactly 11:48 p.m., Auntie Rose ran out of her room. "Madam. Oga. Come see something." They followed her. All the TV screens in the house had turned on by themselves, even the ones that weren't plugged in. Even the microwave screen. Even the baby monitor in storage. All showing the same image. A glowing cartoon figure with big white eyes and striped pajamas, smiling. It wasn't from a network. There was no sound. Just static. And the image. Junior walked out of his room slowly. He was barefoot. His eyes were half open. And he was humming a tune they'd never heard before. When Amaka asked, "Junior, are you okay?" he replied, "Bobo is in all the screens now. He's stronger than before." Chief shouted, "Who is Bobo?" Junior tilted his head, then pointed to the TV. The figure on screen, which had been smiling, suddenly turned its head to face them. Its smile widened. Its hand waved. The lights went out. Sparks flew from the plasma TV. Smoke rose from the microwave. The whole house went dark. Then silence. The generator didn't come on. Nothing moved. They heard Junior say, "He doesn't want to be ignored anymore." It started on a Tuesday night. Chief Okonkwo had just returned from a trip to Abuja. The family had dinner together for the first time in weeks. It was quiet. Too quiet. Junior didn't eat much. He just stared at the dining room chandelier like it was saying something to him. Amaka asked if he was okay. "I'm not hungry," he said softly. "I already ate, before coming back." Amaka frowned. "Before coming back from where?" Junior blinked slowly. Then smiled, "I forgot." She brushed it off. That night, by 11:30 p.m., everyone had gone to bed. Auntie Rose stayed up, folding clothes in the laundry room. Then she heard it, a faint sound from outside. Not footsteps, not music, something like water splashing. She tiptoed toward the balcony. The pool was empty. But the air was cold. And in the distance, toward the edge of the fence, she thought she saw movement. She turned back toward Junior's room. The door was open. Lights off. Bed empty. Curtains blowing softly. Her heart froze. She ran to Chief and Amaka's room. "Oga. Madam. Junior no day room o." Amaka jumped from the bed. "Are you mad? What do you mean?" They all rushed to his room. Bed still empty. The screen of his tablet was flickering, white and glowing. No apps open. No power light. Then Chief opened the balcony door, and froze. There, in the sky, far above the street, was a faint silhouette. Small. Suspended in air. Gliding. Amaka gasped. Jesus, is that? But just before she could finish, the figure dipped behind the trees and disappeared. They rushed down to the compound. Security guard said he hadn't seen anything. The CCTV footage had glitched for 12 minutes straight. Suddenly, they heard the gate rattle. Junior walked in. Calmly. Barefoot. Clothes slightly wet. "Where have you been?" Amaka shouted. "I went to see Bobo," he said. "He said we'll all fly together one day." Amaka froze. She could not move an inch. Then her husband pulled her in. Junior went inside and curled up on the couch. That night, Junior dreamt. But it wasn't a dream. He found himself standing at the edge of a vast ocean, under a dark sky full of stars. The waves were loud, yet there was peace. Standing beside him were dozens of boys, around his age. All barefoot. All dressed in striped pajamas. All smiling quietly. No one spoke. But they understood each other. They had been coming here for weeks. Some from America. Some from Ghana. Some from India. Each called it a dream, but they all knew it wasn't. In the middle of the ocean stood a glowing figure with arms open wide, Bobo. "Come, children. Fly with me. The world you know is broken. But here you are free." And one by one, the boys stepped forward, and began to float over the water. Some laughing. Some spinning. Junior followed. He looked down. His feet weren't touching the sea. But he wasn't falling. He was rising. Bobo floated above them, not speaking anymore, just smiling, as the children danced above the dark waves like puppets on invisible strings. Then, in the distance, Junior saw something moving beneath the water. Not fish. Not whales. Something large. Something ancient. Something waiting. The next morning, Junior woke up. His feet were wet. There was sand in his bedsheet. Amaka couldn't ignore it anymore. She sat at the kitchen counter, scrolling through Junior's search history. Dozens of queries. How to float in sleep. Cartoon character in dreams real or fake. Children seeing same figure in different countries. Can screens be cursed? She rubbed her temples. This wasn't normal. Chief still wasn't fully convinced. It's just imagination. He's creative. He's not creative, Daniel. He's disturbed. Amaka. What kind of 8-year-old wakes up with wet feet and doesn't know how he got outside? But Chief was stubborn. He was a man of logic. And Junior was his only son. Then came the PTA meeting. Miss Dammy pulled Amaka aside. "Ma. I don't mean to intrude, but, has your son ever spoken about flying?" Amaka's blood turned cold. "Why?" "Because he drew this during lunch." She handed Amaka a paper. It showed the school, the students, the playground. And Junior, floating above everyone. Above the clouds. Holding hands with boys in striped pajamas. All smiling. And on the edge of the drawing, one sentence was written in red ink. "The sea is calling us. Soon." Amaka folded the paper. Tears stung her eyes. She didn't say another word. That night, she went to Junior's room. He was asleep. Or so she thought. She sat beside him and gently touched his forehead. He smiled in his sleep and whispered, "Mummy, don't cry. You'll understand when we leave. I'll come back for you too." Amaka was the first to break. She stayed up all night reading parenting blogs, psychology articles, even obscure Reddit threads about children who fly in their sleep and draw things they shouldn't know. The next morning, she sat with her husband. "Daniel, we need to talk." Chief Okonkwo was tired, not just physically, but mentally. He had ignored too much. He couldn't explain what they saw. He couldn't unsee the footage of Junior walking in from the gate at midnight with wet feet, yet claiming he never left the house. So this time, he listened. They both agreed on one thing. Let's cut him off. No screens. No gadgets. No TV. Just for a while. Let's see. It wasn't easy. Junior's tablet was locked in the safe. The smart TV in his room was unplugged. Even the wall sockets were covered. They gave him books instead. Coloring sheets. Toys. They offered to take him to the park. He didn't protest. He didn't cry. He just stared. Then smiled. And said, "You think taking away the window will stop the sky from showing itself?" They didn't understand what he meant. They thought it was random. But that night, their entire Wi-Fi system rebooted by itself. Every screen in the house blinked on and off, even the microwave clock. And Junior wasn't even touching a device. That Friday, Auntie Rose was the first to hear it. She was scrubbing the bathroom floor when she heard a voice behind the mirror. "He's almost ready." She turned. No one was there. The next day, the new driver, Philip, quit. "Sorry, Olga. But that boy, I see him outside my window last night. Him eyes day open, but him no day look me. He just day float. Nah juju be that." That evening, Amaka walked into Junior's room. He was on the floor, legs crossed, staring at the blank television screen. "Junior, what are you doing?" "I'm waiting for the picture to find me." Amaka moved forward. "There's no light, Junior. There's nothing playing. It doesn't need light. Bobo plays from the inside now." She gently touched his head. His skin was cold. His eyes glassy. His heartbeat steady. But in the silence, she heard something faint, like giggling. Many children. Coming from the screen, even though it was off. She snatched him up. "You're sleeping with us tonight." But as she turned to leave, he whispered in her ear. "Mummy, don't let them take my place. They'll come for you instead." That night, she dreamed of Junior standing at the edge of the sea. His eyes were glowing. The stars were spinning above him like a wheel. And in the waves were hands, tiny, childlike hands, reaching upward. She woke up screaming. The school called the next morning. "We've noticed some concerning behaviors. He no longer interacts. He draws circles all over his desk. He told one teacher, 'Your son's name is Emeka and he stole chocolate yesterday.' Which was true. No one told him that. He also said a flood is coming, and that it will take the ones who watched." Chief and Amaka sat in silence. What do you say to something like that? They didn't want to send him back. But they didn't want rumors to spread. So they took him for counseling. 3 different therapists. None of them could explain the things Junior said. One of them recorded a session. During a quiet moment, Junior had looked into the camera and said, "You're watching me now, but soon, I'll be the one watching you. Through your own child." The therapist played it back that night. But in the video, Junior's voice was layered with another voice, deeper, distorted, almost mechanical. She deleted it immediately. And referred the case to a spiritual advisor. Back home, Amaka installed new padlocks on the TV cabinet. That night, they had dinner together. "How was school today?" she asked. "Quiet." "Did you talk to anyone?" "Yes. I talked to the one behind the chalkboard. He said the time is close." "Close for what, Junior?" He smiled. "For the sea to open." Chief dropped his fork. That's it. Enough is enough. At 3 a.m., a loud crack shook the house. The main TV in the living room exploded. Not fire. Not smoke. It shattered, like glass breaking inward. Junior stood at the top of the stairs, looking down. His face was calm. His body glowing faintly. He whispered one word. Open. And the light bulbs flickered. All the windows shook. Then silence. He turned around. And went back to bed. By now, the Okonkwo family had become a shell of what it once was. Amaka no longer wore makeup. Her designer clothes hung loose from her frame. Chief Okonkwo barely spoke. He sat most nights on the edge of their bed, holding Junior's baby picture, wondering when they lost him. Junior, now 8.5, barely 8. He didn't cry. He didn't sleep. He just watched the walls. One night, after another frightening episode, where Junior stood barefoot in the garden whispering in Latin, Auntie Rose could take no more. She knelt beside Amaka's bed and said, trembling, "Madam, please. I no fit watch this boy finish like this. There is one woman, she no be regular prophet oh. She no even like crowd. But people say she dey see. She dey cast, and she dey see." Amaka didn't speak. But the next morning, she whispered to her husband, "Let's try." Her name was Mama Efunyemi. An elderly woman. Soft-spoken. Wrinkled but radiant. She lived in a small bungalow off the outskirts of Ikorodu, surrounded by bush, chickens, and silence. They brought Junior in the back of their black SUV. When Mama Efunyemi saw the boy, she didn't blink. She looked at him. Then looked at the sky. So you let him open the screen, without watching what entered? Amaka frowned. "Mama, what do you mean? When a child watches a screen, he is not watching alone. The screen is watching him too." Chief scoffed. "Mama, please, if you know anything we can do." "Hush." She turned to Junior. "What's your name, child?" Junior stared at her. "They call me Junior. But soon. I won't need a name." She leaned close. "What's his name, the one that comes?" "Bobo." "And what does Bobo want?" "Children. Screens. Eyes. Dreams." Mama Efunyemi nodded, closed her eyes, and began to hum softly. Not chanting. Not shouting. Just, humming. The walls trembled. Junior's body went stiff. Then. He screamed. Not a normal scream. A scream that sounded like 10 voices, layered, sharp, ancient. He vomited, not food, but a thick, black liquid. The room grew cold. The sky darkened. The screen of Amaka's phone cracked in her purse, without being touched. Then silence. Mama Efunyemi opened her eyes. He is not free yet. But the gate is closed now. The visitor has no more right to return. Now, you must cleanse your home. And stay with him. Talk to him. Pray with him. Turn off the world, and turn on love. Amaka broke into tears. Chief stood frozen. Junior looked up, his eyes clear for the first time in months, and whispered. Mummy, was I gone? The Okonkwo family did something no one believed they could. They disconnected. Every screen, gone. TVs, removed. Wi-Fi, disabled. Even the electric clock was unplugged. They replaced Netflix with bedtime stories. iPads with board games. FaceTime with face-to-face talks. Amaka now worked part-time. Chief came home early. Junior was never left alone again. One night, as they sat together on the floor, drawing and laughing, Junior looked up and said, "The sea is quiet now. The boys, they've stopped flying. Where did they go? Amaka asked gently. Some came back. Some got lost. Some are still waiting. Waiting for what? Junior shrugged. For someone to notice. Weeks turned to months. Junior began to sleep peacefully. He reconnected with friends. He joined a reading club. He stopped drawing eyes on the wall. But there were still moments, small, quiet ones, where he would pause and stare at a blank surface. What are you thinking about? Chief once asked. Nothing. I just remember the silence inside the screen. It was loud. The Okonkwo family started visiting churches again. Not for show. Not for duty. But for healing. They met other parents. Heard stories. Found out they weren't alone. The final sign came on Junior's 9th birthday. A simple celebration. No crowd. No magician. Just family. They brought out his cake. Lit the candles. And when they said, "Make a wish," Junior paused. Smiled. And whispered, "I don't need to wish. I'm already back." Then he blew the candles out. And in that quiet, soft moment, there was peace.
Sometimes, the most dangerous thing in our house isn't outside. It's glowing in your child's hands, smiling back at them from a screen you don't fully understand. Not every cartoon is innocent. Not every app is safe. Not every quiet child is okay. In this world of endless content, they need attention, not just subscriptions. Because when we leave them alone with screens for so long, we may still be in the same house, but they are already somewhere else. Pay attention, be present, and never ever assume that just because it's colorful, it's harmless. Thank you so much for watching this story. If it touched you, if it made you think, then don't just click away. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, because stories like this aren't just told to entertain. They are told to wake us up. Until next time, I remain your storyteller, and this is African Tales by Imade. Bye guys!